This will be a fireside chat with the curriculum committee where we're going to be discussing what policies we abide by as an organization on college campuses to promote a safe, welcoming, and legal environment. We'll read through each policy and then explain what the policy means for you as a member of our organization. Each member in our organization, from the membership candidate watching this Module 0 video all the way to the oldest chapter alumni, must follow sorority policy in order to remain in good standing with a sorority. Throughout the video, if you have a question for your chapter VPM, you may raise your hand or say that you have a question. Your VPM can pause the video and you can talk about your question. We have the following policies: affiliate groups, alcohol, illegal drugs, and controlled substances, assault and battery, guidance on off-campus membership education activities, branding and scarification, convention attendance, discrimination, firearms, explosives, or other incendiary devices, hazing, human dignity, membership education, guidelines for membership presentation shows, retaliation, sexual misconduct, 501c3 nonprofit organizations.
Affiliate groups. Chapters of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma are prohibited from participating in auxiliary programs and affiliate groups. This includes, but is not limited to, establishing, supporting, affiliating with, or initiating individuals and/or groups who are unrecognized by the fraternity and/or the sorority, yet act in the name of Kappa Kappa Psi and/or Tau Beta Sigma. Examples include Sweethearts, Love Notes, Mickey Clubs, Tau Gents, Mr. Tau Beta Sigma, Miss Kappa Kappa Psi, or groups at other colleges/universities or at high schools/secondary schools. This means that chapters cannot hold any programming where unaffiliated people may appear associated with the organization who are not initiated or in candidacy for initiation. This does not stop a chapter from giving awards that highlight members of the band who are not members, such as giving a certificate saying Tau Beta Sigma recognizes person A for high quality attendance and participation in marching band this year, where it's clear this is in recognition of someone's behavior and achievement in the band. However, naming an award Mr. Tau Beta Sigma gives an impression that the person is formally associated with the organization. This causes risk for the organization because that person may be seen as associated with Tau Beta Sigma.
Alcohol, illegal drugs, and controlled substances. In any activity or event sponsored or endorsed by a chapter of Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma, including those that occur on or off campus, 1. Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma members and guests must comply with all federal, state, provincial, and local laws. No person under the legal drinking age may possess, consume, provide, sell, or be provided alcoholic beverages. Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma members and guests must follow the federal laws regarding illegal drugs and controlled substances. No person may possess, use, provide, distribute, sell, and/or manufacture illegal drugs or other controlled substances while at any activity or event sponsored or endorsed by the Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma chapter. 3. Alcoholic beverages must be provided and sold on a per-drink basis by a licensed and insured third-party vendor, example, restaurant, bar, caterer, etc. BYOB, or bring your own beverage, or similar events are prohibited. Third-party vendor. The third-party vendor, or TPV, must be properly licensed by the appropriate local and state authority. This might involve both a liquor license and a temporary license to sell on the premises where the function is being held. The TPV must be properly insured with a minimum of $1 million in general liability insurance, evidenced by a properly completed certificate of insurance prepared by the insurance provider. The TPV must assume in writing, executed in the name of Kappa Kappa Psi fraternity or Tau Beta Sigma sorority, all the responsibilities that any other purveyor of alcoholic beverages would assume in the normal course of business, including but not limited to: check identification cards upon entry, Identify those who are of legal age to consume alcohol. All alcohol sales are cash or credit per drink to individuals. Refrain from serving minors. Refrain from serving individuals who appear to be intoxicated. Maintain absolute control of all alcohol containers present. No excess alcohol, open or unopened, is to be given, sold, or furnished to the chapter. A guest list is prepared for all social events, and attendance is in compliance with Rule Number 8, contained within this policy. Event monitors are required for all social events, including one chapter officer. Number 4. Common sources of alcohol, including bulk quantities, which are not being served by a licensed or insured third-party vendor, are prohibited. An example, amounts of alcohol greater than what a reasonable person should consume over a duration of an event. Number 5. Alcoholic beverages must not be purchased with Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma funds or funds pooled by members or guests. Examples, admission fees, cover fees, collecting funds throughout digital apps, etc. Number 6. A chapter must not co-host or co-sponsor or in any way participate in an activity or event with another group or entity that purchases or provides alcohol, illegal drugs, or controlled substances. Number 7. A chapter must not co-host or co-sponsor an event at a bar, event promoter, or alcohol distributor. However, a chapter may rent a bar, restaurant, or other licensed or insured third-party vendor to host an event. Number 8. Attendance by non-members at any event where alcohol is present must be by invitation only, and the chapter must utilize a guest list system. Attendance at events with alcohol must not exceed local fire or building code capacity of the host venue. Any event or activity related to the new member joining process, recruitment, intake, etc., must be substance-free. No alcohol or other controlled substances may be present if the event or activity is related to new member activities, meetings, or initiation into Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma, including but not limited to bid nights, big and little events or activities, family events or activities, and any ritual or ceremony. And 10. Members and membership candidates, as well as their guests at an activity, must not permit, encourage, coerce, glorify, or participate in any activities involving the rapid consumption of alcohol, such as drinking games. Be sure to read this policy very carefully. No event sponsored or hosted by a chapter of Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma can include the illegal consumption, sale of alcohol, illegal drugs, or controlled substances. No chapter funds or funds pooled by members can be used to purchase alcohol, illegal drugs, or controlled substances. No illegal drugs, controlled substances may be present or in conjunction with any activities related to membership intake. This includes recruitment, formal or informal, bid night, big little activities, rituals, chapter ceremonies, etc. Alcoholic beverages provided by a licensed and insured third-party vendor like a restaurant, bar, caterer must be sold on a per-drink basis, and no BYOB or similar events can happen. Please review this policy very carefully.
Assault and battery. In any activity or event sponsored or endorsed by chapters of Kappa Kappa Psi and or Tau Beta Sigma, including those that occur on or off campus, no chapter, member, or guest shall engage in assault and battery as defined by the laws in the jurisdiction in which the activity or event occurs. This is pretty straightforward. People need to be safe at our events, meaning that at no point should our activities include any forms of violence.
Branding and scarification. All members and membership candidates of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma are prohibited from participating in or facilitating body modification of any person in an unlicensed environment or from forced or coerced body modification of any person at licensed establishments. This includes, but not limited to, branding, scarification, which is the modification of the human body through burning, cutting, or other types of abrasion to the human skin or other areas. This policy promotes bodily autonomy, meaning our members are in charge of what happens to their bodies and they cannot be forced into changing how their body looks to gain legitimacy in our organization. However, if members do want to engage in tattooing, branding, or scarifying their body, it must be done at a licensed establishment and individuals must fully consent to the procedure.
Convention attendance. All alumni members of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma attending district or national conventions or other regional meetings sponsored by a district or national chapter must have either a life membership or a current National Kappa Kappa Psi Alumni Association or National Tau Beta Sigma Alumni Association membership. This is another pretty straightforward policy. If you have graduated and want to attend any conventions or official meetings of the sorority, you must hold Tau Beta Sigma Alumni Association membership and/or life membership.
Discrimination. Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma expressly prohibit discrimination by any component part of the fraternity or sorority or by any person acting on behalf of the organizations on the basis of race, ethnicity, color, national origin, sex, ability status, religion, age, marital status, veteran status, gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation. There are many ways that a person can identify, and our sorority wants to be a place for people of any identity to join the organization. A common thing we see in chapters is the comment, well, they're a senior and they've waited a long time to join. This could mean that chapters are discriminating based on the person's age. Additionally, even though we are a sorority, it is very important to note that we do not discriminate on the basis of gender or sex, meaning that cisgender and transgender men, non-binary people, and transgender women can join the sorority. The only requirements to join Tau Beta Sigma is that you must be enrolled in band throughout the year and you must pay your dues to be active. There may also be local requirements on GPA or credit hour minimums based on what your university requires. However, the sorority has a very open policy on who can join.
Firearms, explosives, and other incendiary devices. All members of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma must comply with all federal, state, provincial, and local laws and campus policy as it relates to firearms, explosives, and other incendiary devices. Firearms, explosives, or other incendiary devices are prohibited from all chapter activities or events. Similar to our assault and battery policy, we need to keep our events as safe and welcoming as possible. The presence of firearms, explosives, or other incendiary devices increases the risks of harm to people, and we cannot have these present at our events.
Hazing. The foundation of Tau Beta Sigma's hazing prevention plan is based on respect for each other, ourselves, and our policies. We will further discuss the policy and our anti-hazing strategy in Tau Beta Sigma later on in Module 0 and then again in Module 1. The hazing policy. No chapter, petitioning group, student member, membership candidate, or alumnus of Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma shall conduct nor condone hazing activities. Permission or approval by a person being hazed is not a defense. The term hazing means any intentional, knowing, or reckless act committed by a person, whether individually or in concert with other persons, against any individual or group of individuals, regardless of affiliation and whether or not committed on campus property, for the purpose of recruiting, joining, initiating, admitting, affiliating, and for the purpose of retaining membership in an organization that causes an individual or group of individuals to do any of the following, but not limited to the following, regardless of a person's willingness to participate. 1. Be coerced to violate federal, state, provincial, or other local law, or to violate campus and/or Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma policy. 2. be coerced to consume any food, liquid, alcoholic liquid, drug, or other substance in any non-customary manner, which subjects the individual or group of individuals to a substantial risk of emotional or physical harm, which includes but is not limited to sickness, vomiting, intoxication, or unconsciousness. 3. Endure brutality of a physical nature, including but not limited to whipping, beating, paddling, branding, dangerous physical activity, or exposure to elements, or endure threats of such conduct that results in mental or physical harm. 4. Endure brutality of a mental nature, including but not limited to activity adversely affecting the mental health or dignity of the individual, sleep deprivation, mandatory wearing of pins, regalia, or other clothing, exclusion from social contact, required communication on demand or in a specific manner, or conduct that could result in extreme embarrassment or endured threats of such conduct that results in mental or physical harm. 5. Endure any other activity which adversely affects the health and safety of an individual, including but not limited to the disruption of academic performance or class attendance, lineups, calisthenics, or personal, physical, or financial servitude.
Human dignity. Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma prohibit behaviors that intend to be undignified, threatening, intimidating, or harassing to another person or group within member or chapter-sponsored activities. This behavior includes, but is not limited to, participating in activities that are discriminatory, demeaning, or destructive, lying, cheating, theft, and/or libel or slander. We use the word safe a lot, but a sense of safety is incredibly important for people to thrive where they are. We want our members to thrive, especially in the stressful context of being in college. Any behavior that is not coming from a place of wanting to empower our members can violate this policy. Members who are going out of their way to try to tear down a person does not reflect our values as an organization.
Membership education. Chapters of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma must adhere to all Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma risk management policies during the membership education process for the protection of membership candidates, potential new members of the band, and future members of our organization. The membership education process extends from any formal or informal recruitment of potential members through their membership education process and including their full initiation into full membership. In addition, all chapters must submit all required reports for the membership education process by the established national headquarters deadlines, including but not limited to membership candidate reports and initiation reports. Those reports will be included in any award considerations, as well as penalty and disciplinary procedures for late and missing reports. Prior to beginning a membership intake process, all chapters must submit their membership education calendars and all other chapter membership education-related activities not included in an organization's national curriculum documents by the established deadline of the national organization. All membership education calendars and membership education-related activities must be reviewed for policy compliance before a chapter's membership intake can occur. Membership education classes and rituals must take place on campus in a neutral space. Examples of a neutral space include classrooms, the library, music building, and other academic areas to which students would normally have access. Private rooms and residence halls are not acceptable. Students must follow local campus policies for access to space, including hours of access and maximum occupancy. Chapters are prohibited from hosting events at a business where its primary function is the service of alcoholic beverage for consumption on the premises, including but not limited to bars. However, the following off-campus events are allowed as part of the membership education process. Social events or fundraisers that occur at a third-party commercial establishment. Bowling alleys, skating rinks, video game/arcade venues, and other similar social activities that occur at a business are acceptable. Eating at a restaurant or hosting profit share fundraisers with a restaurant are also acceptable. Social or sporting events that occur on public property during times when a location is normally open to the public. For example, softball, football, softball, etc. In a park that's public or in publicly accessed field during normal operating hours. Service projects that are directly related to band service but must be performed in specific off-campus locations. For example, moving or repairing band equipment or uniforms at off-campus storage facilities. This policy explains the why of our membership education program and how it is structured. Your membership education program, or MEP, was approved by a member of our national leadership team who was trained to review plans to ensure that they are in line with all sorority policies.
Membership presentation probate shows. For chapters of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma, to host a membership presentation show, also known as probate shows, probates, intake shows, etc., the following policy is in place. 1. Shows must happen in accordance with campus and band policies, and all members and membership candidates must comply with all federal, state, provincial, and local laws, campus policies, and the policies and values of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma. 2. The director of bands must approve the show material and all practices, and they must be in attendance at the performance. 3. Presentation shows must take place no more than 30 calendar days after members have been initiated into Kappa Kappa Psi or Tau Beta Sigma, and the presentation show dates must be in an approved membership education calendar. 4. All participants should not be forced to participate and must freely agree to participation in any practices and the performance. Chapters may not discriminate, harass, refuse membership, or harm any member or membership candidate who refuses to participate. 5. Any show materials must not impede the ability of the participant to move, breathe, or see. 6. Vulgarity, sexually explicit material, and profanity are prohibited. This includes but is not limited to inappropriate attire, sexually suggestive moves, cursing, and profane gestures. 7. Verbal attacks of or harassment on another organization, whether intentional or not, is prohibited. New member presentation shows, or probates, showcase a piece of a chapter's culture and celebrate the new members of our organizations. Probate originated as a coming out of new members of the NPHC, or Divine Nine historically Black Greek organizations. They have become a tradition of our chapters at historically Black colleges and universities, otherwise known as HBCUs, and are adopted by many other chapters in the sorority. We highly encourage our chapters who want to host a probate to do so, and of course to share videos with us because we do love them. This policy puts in some parameters on how these performances are crafted, including the involvement of the director of bands in the content that will be displayed. Because remember, the chapter is a direct representative of the institution's bands, so we need the DOB to be involved in the approval of the content. Probates and new member presentation shows should be conducted in good taste to celebrate your new members and highlight the values that we have in Tau Beta Sigma.
Retaliation. All members of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma are prohibited from retaliation against any individual, members and non-members, for reporting, inquiring, or cooperating with a report around a violation of fraternity, sorority, or campus policies, or of any federal or state laws or statutes. Retaliation is any action, statement, or behavior that is designed to punish an individual for filing a compliance report, cooperating with a compliance investigation, seeking guidance regarding a compliance concern, or to deter one from taking any such action. Sometimes we need to pause or stop operations in a chapter for possible violations of policies. This means we need to speak to people who were involved in the actions and report on what happened to constitute the violation. As previously stated, our policies exist to ensure a safe and welcoming environment for all members and non-members who interact with our organization. This policy seeks to protect everyone who participates in any investigations, whether it's the sorority conducting the investigation or your institution or law enforcement agencies, from any retaliation due to their involvement in an investigation.
Sexual misconduct. All members of Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma must comply with all federal, state, provincial, and local laws and campus policies related to sexual misconduct. This includes, but is not limited to, definitions around consent, sexual violence, sexual harassment, domestic violence, dating violence, stalking, and sexual exploitation. This means that our members must not engage in any behavior that could constitute domestic or sexual violence in the state. This includes behavior in or out of chapter-sponsored events and does not align with our shared values. As an organization with a primary focus on women's empowerment, we recognize that sexual and domestic violence primarily, but not solely, affects women and can have serious negative implications on survivors of these crimes. Chapters are recommended to review their university and college and local laws regarding sexual violence.
501c3 nonprofit organizations. A 501c3 corporation is considered a public charity and receives certain benefits from the federal government that are critical to our success and how we operate. We are considered a charitable organization because we support the art of music, which is a benefit to not only our members but to society as a whole. We keep this tax status and recognize that it makes us different from peer organizations because it allows us to take tax-deductible donations and participate in special benefits. However, that also means that it bars our organizations from anything that looks like politically partisan or anti-government speech, and it ties our efforts to our mission as an educational organization. Other Greek and national organizations on your campus may have different tax classifications and would therefore have different rules that allow them to do political organizing or campaigning, to support or endorse a political candidate, to advocate for a political party, or to spend money for partisan causes. Please remember, as an individual citizen, you have a right to do all of these things, but you should not do them as a representative, intentional or not, of our organization.
How to report. There are numerous options to report a potential violation of these policies. First and foremost, in case of an emergency, call 911. Contact your chapter president, chapter sponsor, or director of bands, or any member of the Tau Beta Sigma National Leadership Team for assistance. This can include your counselors or chapter visitation associates. Also, call the Kappa Kappa Psi Tau Beta Sigma National Headquarters at 405-372-2333. Or you can also email our national headquarters at kkytbs@kkytbs.org, and they can also assist you. If you would prefer to submit an anonymous report, you can submit an anonymous report on our Report a Problem form located on the national website at www.tbsigma.org/report-a-problem. For any questions on our risk management policies, please contact the Tau Beta Sigma National Council at tbs@tbsigma.org, or contact our national headquarters by calling 405-372-2333 or email them at kkytbs@kkytbs.org.